What is with all these crabs? Don't worry, little child. Joe Obama Trump is here, axe in hand and ready to save you. Seriously, though, this is a lot of crabs. Are we on the streets of Baltimore now?
Isn't Boston known for crabs? I know Baltimore has an inner harbor too, but do they have crabs?
If you're hiring off the streets of inner Baltimore, I'd say they have more crabs than Boston.
Oh, you mean the other kind of crabs, not the seafood.
I think I just threw up a little in my mouth. Can we please change the subject? This is no way to start an episode.
Don't get all worked up, Barack. You're starting to sound like as much of a crybaby as this kid we just saved.
Donald, I have to ask, but I've noticed you sound a lot different from our last recording session.
I'm glad you noticed, Joe. My voice is a national treasure. Many say it is the greatest, most perfect voice in history.
No one says that.
And after listening to our first video, your video, my video, I realized that the headset I was using simply would not suffice. So for the sake of my adoring fans, I have purchased a new Turtle Beach headset, the very best Turtle Beach headset.
Not sponsored, just Donald being biased.
This isn't a bias, Obama. If you could hear how crisp and clear the audio from this headset is, and I have no doubt my voice will sound amazing now, with truly presidential pitch and rugged timbre.
You do sound better, as I already said. Just don't let it go to your head.
Ask something possible of him, Joe.
Oh, and now we're back to the talking. Seriously, the ratio of combat to chit-chat in this game is so off. This feels more like a casual Thursday in the Senate. Everyone has something to say and nothing gets done.
Donald, you do understand that this game is a story-based MMO, don't you? If you don't want to read the story, why did you even suggest we play?
I hate to admit it, but I do agree some with Donald here. Story-based or not, it does feel like we have been in nonstop cutscenes, and not even interesting ones, just exposition.
Am I the only one that enjoys the story? While I agree, this isn't that riveting yet. Every good story needs some setup. The story has to get better considering how popular this game has been.
Just like a blue-bellied donkey to drag his feet and talk when action is needed. You had 8 years to do anything during your term, Barack, and nothing got done.
It's not my fault I had to fight Congress the entire time I was in office. And I wouldn't say nothing got done, unless you count the Affordable Health Care Act nothing.
I think we both know that I consider it nothing.
You walked into that one, Barack.
Getting back to the point, while I agree there is a lot of dialogue, I also think it's worth reading, and I expect the story to only get better, so don't skip. If you don't want to read it, Donald, you can always give me the laptop.
Fine, I won't skip, but I'm keeping the laptop for now. I want to see if the combat improves. I'm not ready to give up on my legacy as Eorzea's best warrior just yet.
I'm not really ready to take over myself, so you can have your turn next, Barack. In the meantime, I've been doing some research on the websites about the game, and the overall impression is that the story does get dramatically better. It just starts off slow and boring during the original vanilla release they call ARR.
Well, I have to agree about slow and boring. Very boring. I mean, is it just me, or do we have to talk to every single person? And most of the time, they act like Joe, just talking and talking with nothing to say.
Well, at least I don't lie every time I open my mouth like a certain other person here.
That's not really fair, Zombie Joe. Obama only lies about half the time. Don't paint him with such a negative light. Weren't you his vice president? Show a little loyalty.
He was talking about you, Donald. And given how Pence turned on you, I don't really think you have any right to call any other VP loyalty into question.
Look, just because Mike doesn't endorse me publicly doesn't mean he's not loyal. He was very loyal to me for 4 years. The most loyal. And it's not like I was going to pick him as my running mate again. He really doesn't bring much to the table. His conversations are more boring than this game's story so far.
That does sound pretty dull.
It was. All we ever talked about was his kid's stupid rabbit, the one they wrote a book about. The rest of the time, he was sitting off in the corner reading his Bible. The man has about as much charisma as a paperweight.
Changing the subject, what's going on now, Barack? I noticed that our character seems to be talking with a bunch of rugged-looking farmers now.
Farmers now, but formerly pirates. Much like the whole city of Limsa Laminsa, it seems this crew of cutthroats traded in pillaging the seas for tilling the soil. That said, some of the former crew aren't too happy about the choice and want to go back to being a pirate.
And who can blame them? While farming is an important staple in the vast American economy, it is often overlooked by the majority because it's boring. There's a reason that stories like Treasure Island are famous, and it has nothing to do with corn and carrots.
Well, anyway, now they've tasked us with investigating some nearby grotto.
Leave it to me and my axe then. We'll solve this mystery and turn these farmers back into the cold-blooded buccaneers they were born to be.
Again, nice alliteration.
That's not the point, though, Don. Their leader is trying to rein in the mutineers, not encourage them.
Why am I not surprised? So far, this game has always chosen the most boring of two options. Of course, we'd want to encourage farming over pirates.
What is the mystery we're looking into, Barack?
Well, it seems there are people being kidnapped and disappearing. And it seems they're somehow involved with these farmers or their mutineers. So we're tasked to find out which or perhaps who it is, if not them.
Who kidnaps pirates anyway? Wow. Wow, don't tell Melania I said this, but I think I may be in love.
I don't think Melania would care.
If anything, she may be relieved.
Ah, you are the adventurer I've seen around Summerford Farms. I thought myself on the trail of the kidnappers, but it would seem I have missed my mark.
Suddenly, I find myself very interested in the story, the very best Catgirl story. Wait, what on... Is that a demented Kermit the Frog? Maybe Kermit has an inbred cousin.
Oh, I can see that. With his flappy head and scrawny arms. That's pretty good, Donald.
Yes, thank you for explaining the joke, Joe. My joke. Make sure all the slow-minded liberals can follow along.
And you wonder why we don't offer you compliments very often. Still, I do have to say you're handling this fight pretty well.
It's not hard, Joe. So far, I have 4 buttons, and I only ever have to use 2 of them. The game even highlights which one to use. Honestly, it's simple. Very simple. So simple, even Jeb Bush could play this game and look smart.
Phew.
Well, that wasn't a very hard fight, but what is going on now?
Are we dreaming again? Why do all our dreams start with us floating?
Maybe we picked up some coke while we were visiting Baltimore earlier.
Donald, I don't think we should entertain jokes about drug use. There could be children watching us.
Oh, calm down, Obama. Joe's son isn't here, so no one is actually doing drugs. It was just a joke.
I'm going to pretend you didn't just drag Hunter into this, Don.
The way you pretend that he wasn't found guilty, Joe?
All right. Stop it, both of you. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Apparently, we had a vision of a giant crystal after our fight.
See this blade? I found it in the Gubu's back. It would appear our culprits are seafaring men of some persuasion, piratical being the most probable. The days ahead promise little rest, I fear. May our paths cross again, under the light of the crystal.
And Kermit's deranged cousin was attacking us because someone stabbed it in the back.
Why are you looking at me like that, Joe?
Well, I figured you'd be the person to know the most likely candidate for backstabbing.
I already told you, Mike Pence is still loyal.